Hi there, my name is Fekra and I'm a final year Health and Society student in DCU. I will address the crucial aspects of my Health Action project, which is based on the impacts of physical activity on stress coping and mental well-being amongst university students. I shall also provide my own personal viewpoints of the project as we go along.
So, with that being said, I aimed at investigating in-depth information in relation to the impacts of physical activity on stress coping and well-being amongst university students. Firstly, examining how physical activity itself is beneficial for reducing stress levels and boosting overall well-being in university students. I was wishing to raise awareness to university students themselves as to how physical activity can actually relieve pressure within their academic lives, and through this encourage them to partake in physical activity on a more consistent basis. Leading on from this, I was also seeking for students to understand that even the least physically challenging activities are more beneficial to problem solving and stress than mundane leisurely ones like binge watching Netflix or scrolling through Instagram and Twitter feeds and so on. The concluding aim of my project was demonstrating to students that consistent physical activity can help them in problem coping situations which university life itself can entail. College Activity Fun Day was to be the basis of my action project, which took place within the sports grounds of DCU. I was aware prior to my action project that many university students may not be very sports orientated, and so I felt it to be beneficial choosing both unisex and non-contact activities to be the most suitable. Therefore, Ultimate Frisbee and Tag Rugby were to be the two central activities. With all plans in mind, I contacted both DCU's Students' Union and DCU Sports Complex to arrange the booking of the fun day in Albert College Park. The Ultimate Frisbee and Tag Rugby societies were helpful in arranging for members from both clubs helping out, keeping everything organised on the day itself, and generally generating a nice harmony amongst the students too. Both societies kindly allowed myself to borrow activity gear like rugby balls, frisbees, training bibs, cones, water bottles and so on. I proceeded in creating the Facebook page itself, inviting all of my Facebook friends and having the DCU Society send out emails to members to attend the event. Questionnaires were made up as well as prepared interview questions to gain feedback from students. Finally, I finished this off with gathering findings from the interviews and feedback from participants, also to discuss and evaluate the impacts of physical activity on stress coping and well-being with university students. There was an extremely encouraging turnout for the Sports Day event, with 62 students altogether taking part on the day. From the interviews that were completed, one male student in particular mentioned how he lives through stressful times such as dealing with bills, family life and work. Prior to taking part in regular exercise, he said that he would have went out for an alcoholic drink to cope with times of stress. However, nowadays if he's experiencing some problems to sort out in his head, he goes out to do an hour's worth of running. Afterwards, he'd have that problem worked out by the time he's back, and as he puts it himself, I always come back home in good humour. So, through the uplifting feedback and the general good morale of the students on the day, I was delighted as to how positively impacting physical activity is on the mental well-being of university students. Personally speaking, despite being routinely physically active for over 15 years, I was not fully aware of the extent which links psychological benefits and physical activity. My understanding of the idea of physical activity dealing with stress and improving well-being was a concept which only became apparent as I got more involved with my Health Action project. I came to learn specific facets of mental health which reap its rewards, such as problem-focused coping, positive self-body imagery, heightened self-esteem, along with others. Ultimately, I learnt that even the most mundane of activities, such as gardening or painting, or even walking to work or college, can positively contribute to coping with stress. With hindsight in mind, there are a select few things that I would have done differently, as there are only 8 participants interviewed from the fun day, and since the project was mainly only conducted on one university campus, the findings may be difficult to generalise over a larger population. Additionally speaking, most of the students that took part were already motivated and primed for physical exercise before engaging in the project. This might be a pitfall to selection bias which may trigger a transferability issue when it is administered to different settings where participants don't have the same motivational levels to take part in physical exercise in their spare time. So if I was to conduct this project again, I would consider including an assortment of students from various universities and college campuses with various levels of physical activity which would enhance the transferability of the project. And so that wraps up my Health Action project as a whole. Thank you very much for listening.